One man's trash is another man's treasure. Similarly, one team's DNP is another team's starting level player. And for the injury-stricken, talented, depleted Lakers, that may be the case, sadly, more oftentimes than not. So in today's video, here is a list of 6 players currently racking up DNPs on the regular for their current teams, who, if traded to another team, like, say, the Lakers, could get some real rotation minutes and be of real value. I'll run through this list of 6 in no particular order, and then at the end I will give you guys my top 3 rankings of who I'd prefer out of this list, so make sure to stick around for that. But with that said, and after you guys graciously click the subscribe button on this channel, let's get into my list of 6 players who currently aren't even playing on their team, but who could play for the Lakers and maybe even start. Alright, number 1 on my list. Let's talk about a player that I've mentioned before in prior videos, and let's talk about the Los Angeles Clippers' Bones Hyland. Bones Hyland is still only 24 years old. He is a 6'3" scoring combo guard with a long 6'10" wingspan. He's got long, gangly limbs and arms. He is the former number 26 pick in the 2021 NBA draft and is currently on an expiring $4 million contract. And yeah, the Clippers just aren't playing him at all this season. So Bones Hyland is your prototypical microwave scorer off the bench. He's shifty, he's got handles, he knows how to take it to the rack, he's got a really nice pull-up mid-range game, he can pull up from three-point land as well. In his career, per 100 possessions, Bones Hyland is a 27 points per game type of scorer. His best season in the NBA came in the 2022-23 season with the Denver Nuggets when he averaged 12 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, while hitting 2.2 threes a game on 38% from 3 in just 19 minutes. So he knows how to put up points in bunches very quickly and very efficiently. And the fact that he used to be a volume 3-point shooter, knocking down 2.2 threes a game on high efficiency at 38%, portends to great things for Bones Hyland if he can just get a consistent role and consistent minutes. And again, all he needs is 19 minutes to put up points. And Bones Hyland to me is kind of like the prototypical Lou Williams, Jordan Clarkson, Jamal Crawford type. You rely on him to get buckets off the bench, to change the pace and dynamic of a game. I wouldn't call him a great defender, but he has good physical tools to be a pest in the passing lanes and to be a ball hawk with his long 6'10" wingspan. But really you're looking at Bones Hyland to be a bucket off the bench who can get to the cup, draw fouls, and be a little bit shifty out there and give you some on-ball juice and life for your potentially flailing bench. And I think if the Lakers make a consolidation trade and Gabe Vincent and even a guy like D'Angelo Russell goes out, I think Bones Hyland could uphold the bench's offensive efficiency and potency once the starters go out. All right, moving on to number 2. Let's talk about the Houston Rockets' Jae'Sean Tate. So Jae'Sean Tate is 29 years old. He is a 6'4" guard / forward with a 6'8" wingspan who weighs a hefty 230 pounds. This season, Jae'Sean Tate is currently on an expiring $7.5 million contract. Jae'Sean Tate's best season came in the 2021-22 season with the Houston Rockets when he averaged 12 points, 5.4 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, and 0.5 blocks on 50% shooting from the field and 31% shooting from 3, hitting 0.8 threes a game. So he can do a little bit of everything. Now, what I like the most about Jae'Sean Tate is that he has a bully ball frame. He is rock solid and sturdy. He's only listed at 6'4", but the Rockets have played him at the power forward position and sometimes the small ball 5 position as well in the past, just because of how strong and physical he is. So this is going to sound kind of crazy, but I kind of liken Jae'Sean Tate to a very poor man's Dollar Tree version of Draymond Green. Just because he can do everything, a little bit of everything. He is the true definition of a jack of all trades, master of none, but he really hangs his hat on the defensive end of the floor and really being a rabid pit bull on the defensive end. When he was part of the Rockets' regular rotation, Jae'Sean Tate graded very highly in nearly every advanced defensive statistic. Last year, according to the B-Ball Index, Jae'Sean Tate was in the top 5 in pickpocket rating, which means he was a pest in the passing lanes and a ball hawk. He was also number 2 last year in defensive LeBron out of all fourth-year players in his draft class. And then he was also number 2 in luck-adjusted defensive plus-minus out of all forwards last season. And if you just watch him play, his energy, his motor, and his tenacity on the defensive end of the floor is absolutely infectious. He is not only super strong and physical, but he's also got quick hands, and he can move his feet pretty well as well. And so I just really like Jae'Sean Tate as that energizer bunny on the defensive end of the floor who will hustle for 50-50 balls. You know he will rebound the ball. And then on the offensive end, you don't really need to worry about him, but he can score a little bit. He can knock down a wide open 3-point shot. He can pass a little bit as well. So yeah, Jae'Sean Tate is as versatile a defending forward as you can get. Obviously, you wish that he were more 6'8", 6'9", but at 6'4", with a 6'8" wingspan at 230 pounds, Jae'Sean Tate is a force to be reckoned with. And I guess a more apt comparison for him would be like Bruce Brown morphing into Draymond Green. That is how I would describe Jae'Sean Tate. So there's number 2, Jae'Sean Tate. All right, number 3, let's move on to the Chicago Bulls' Torrey Craig. So Torrey Craig is a little bit more of a boring vanilla sort of name, but he's also just a seasoned, effective professional who can get the job done. Torrey Craig is 33 years old. He is 6'5" with a 6'8" wingspan and is currently on an expiring $2.8 million contract. So again, Torrey Craig is not the most exciting prospect to talk about. He doesn't have that much of a high upside at 33 years old already, but he has always been a really solid, sturdy, and versatile defender. He's a good rebounder for a guard of his size at 6'5", and career-wise, he is a 35% three-point shooter, albeit on low volume. He's hit 0.9 threes a game in his career, although that volume has risen in more recent years. His best season in the NBA came with the Phoenix Suns in 2022-23 when he averaged 7.4 points, 5.4 rebounds, 0.6 steals, 0.8 blocks, shooting 39% from 3 and hitting 1.3 threes a game. And at the end of the day, Torrey Craig is just a professional veteran. He is an adult in the room who knows how to fill his role and won't make too many mistakes and take too much off the table when he's out on the court. He's got a sturdy build. He's also pretty athletic. He shoots solidly enough. He can also do some things off of the dribble in a pinch as well, and also knock down a pull-up mid-range jump shot. And then defensively, you know that he'll just be solid, staying in front of his man, being in the right positions, using his length to bother people, cutting off driving lanes. And again, because he is pretty athletic and strong, once in a while he'll also sky in for a weak side shot block, 0.6 steals, 0.8 blocks. He can do all of the ancillary defensive things pretty well. And the best part about Torrey Craig is the fact that it probably costs very little to acquire him. The Lakers can probably get him for a veteran minimum contract or JHS and a second-round pick, and boom, you have Torrey Craig. All right, now we are down to my final 3 candidates on my list of the best DNP'd players across the league who could actually help the Lakers. And while we transition over to those final 3 candidates, if I could please ask you guys to like this video, comment down below, and most importantly, please subscribe to this channel. It would help me out tremendously. All right, with that said, let's get into my final 3 DNP players who could help the Lakers. Number 4, let's talk about the Washington Wizards' Jonas Valanciunas. Just kidding. We're not talking about Jonas Valanciunas because he has been talked about enough. So number 4, let's talk about the Washington Wizards' Richaun Holmes. So Richaun Holmes is 31 years old. He is a 6'9" power forward / center with a 7'1" wingspan. The Washington Wizards re-signed him this past offseason to a $12.6 million contract. Next year, he's making $13 million, but it is actually non-guaranteed. So for all intents and purposes, Richaun Holmes is on an expiring $12.6 million contract. So what I really like about Richaun Holmes, despite his undersized stature, is the fact that he's just a very athletic, bouncy athlete. He's a great pick and roll man and lob threat, and he just runs the floor very well, and he's got a really good high motor. Richaun Holmes' best season in the NBA came in the 2020-21 season with the Sacramento Kings when he averaged 14 points, 8 rebounds, 1.6 blocks, 0.6 steals, shooting a ridiculous 64% from the field. So yes, he is a very efficient scorer and finisher at the rim. He knows his role very well, and in the entirety of his career, he actually shoots 60% from the field. So again, he knows his role. He knows how to catch lobs. He knows how to roll hard, set solid screens. And overall for me, I think Richaun Holmes is just a mobile, active, athletic, and versatile forward who can help Anthony Davis on the boards and just provide the team with that spark of energy and activity. He can block shots. Again, 1.6 blocks with the Sacramento Kings. A really good weak side rim protector. Think of Richaun Holmes as a better defending, more explosive Thomas Bryant. So if you can picture that, that's Richaun Holmes, and those are the qualities that I like about Richaun Holmes. So that's Richaun Holmes at number 4. All right, moving on to number 5. Let's get a little bit younger and a little bit more high upsideier and talk about the Portland Trailblazers' Jabari Walker. So Jabari Walker is the son of former Laker Samaki Walker. Jabari Walker is 22 years old. He is a 6'7" forward with a long 6'11" wingspan. He is currently on an expiring $2 million contract, and then next year he will be a restricted free agent. Last season with the Portland Trailblazers, Jabari Walker averaged 9 points, 7 rebounds, and 0.6 steals. Overall, Jabari Walker's best qualities are the fact that he is still very young, he is very athletic, he's got a good motor, and he's a good rebounder. Now, he's a bit undersized and frail, but I think he makes up for that with his good agility and mobility and the fact that he's pretty versatile on the offensive end of the floor. He's got a little bit of that Montrezl Harrell relentlessness and tenacity to him. You know that he'll crash the glass and compete on the defensive end of the floor. He can also space the floor a little bit as well. While he's not a volume three-point shooter or a very efficient three-point shooter, last season he did hit 41 threes when he was actually part of the Portland Trailblazers rotations, so I think there's some potential there as a spacing forward in Jabari Walker as well. And overall, I just think Jabari Walker is an interesting young developmental project and flyer for the Lakers to take on, who has actually also showed already some tangible skill sets and attributes that can be further molded. And if the Lakers can get in on a player like this early on, then maybe they can really build him and shape him out to be that sort of tenacious workhorse forward off the bench who brings the energy, crashes the glass, and can do a little bit on the offensive end as well. The best case scenario for Jabari Walker is if his three-point shot really develops, then maybe I could see him becoming like a Naz Reid type of player. Those are lofty expectations, but that would be my ceiling comp for Jabari Walker if everything shakes out right. Now, staying on the topic of the Portland Trailblazers, I really quickly also want to shout out some of Jabari Walker's teammates in Kris Murray and Duop Reath and bundle them into this list along with Jabari Walker because these are a couple of 6'8", 6'9" forwards on the Blazers who are also racking up DNPs, but forwards who are also very versatile in their offensive skill sets and may have some defensive potential as well just because of their length and their toolsiness. So yeah, if the Lakers can get the Blazers to throw in any one of these three young forwards in Duop Reath, Kris Murray, and Jabari Walker, although Duop Reath is not that young anymore, but Duop Reath, Jabari Walker, and Kris Murray and tack them onto a larger deal, I feel like that would be a huge steal for the Lakers. But yeah, number 5 for me on this list is Jabari Walker and all of the other DNP'd young forwards on the Blazers. All right, lastly but not leastly, number 6. Let's talk about a familiar name for Lakers fans and talk about the Atlanta Hawks' Larry Nance Jr. Larry Nance is now 31 years old. He is a 6'8" forward with a 7'2" wingspan, and he is currently on an expiring $11 million contract. So Larry Nance was actually part of the Dyson Daniels and DeJounte Murray trade between the New Orleans Pelicans and the Atlanta Hawks. But since moving over to the Atlanta Hawks, Larry Nance's role on the team has been very sporadic, and he has picked up more than a couple DNPs this season. But yeah, I don't think I need to delve too deeply into Larry Nance's game because most Lakers fans are still familiar with who Larry Nance is, and I think on a team like the Lakers who need a gritty workhorse sort of forward off the bench, I think Larry Nance fits that role perfectly. Larry Nance is still supremely athletic. He still is very mobile and agile as a forward, and his three-point shot over the last couple of years has improved dramatically. Now, he's still been shooting threes at a low volume, but he's done so very efficiently, and he has become a more reliable open catch-and-shoot three-point shooter. In fact, in this season alone with the Atlanta Hawks, he already has games in which he's hit 5 of 6 from three-point land and 3 of 3 from 3 as well. But overall, you love Larry Nance because he is the ultimate hustle, high-motor player who will scrap on the floor, dive for loose balls, and always crash the glass. He's mobile, he's agile, he runs the floor very well, and is still super athletic. You know he's going to compete on the defensive end. And with Jared Vanderbilt's status perpetually in doubt, the Lakers kind of need to replace Vando's infusion of athleticism, rebounding, and energy, and Larry Nance can fill that role. And then on top of it, Larry Nance is a pretty good system connective passer as well. So again, Larry Nance is the perfect example of another one of these jack of all trades, master of none players who can do a little bit of everything on both ends of the floor. And while Larry Nance isn't the same sort of point of attack defender that Jared Vanderbilt is, he's still a very solid defender who always gives the effort on that end of the floor. And offensively, while Larry Nance is obviously a much better three-point shooter than Jared Vanderbilt, he's also a much better finisher in the paint and at the rim, because Larry Nance, even at 31 years old, is still a legitimate pick and roll lob threat. So yeah, that's my list of 6 players who are currently racking up DNPs for their current team, who, if traded specifically to the Lakers, could actually play a meaningful contributing role to this team. Now, how would I go about ranking this list? I'll give you guys my top 3. Let's start at number 3 and then make our way down to my number 1 preference. So I think I would go number 3. I think I would go with Torrey Craig, just because I think the Lakers need that sort of physical, strong, bully ball sort of guard/wing defender. And I like that Torrey Craig is an established veteran that a guy like JJ Redick can lean on. And I like the fact that he's athletic and he can still shoot threes as well. So number 3, I'll go with Torrey Craig. Number 2, I think I'd go with former Laker Larry Nance Jr. because I think Larry Nance, like Alex Caruso before him, is that perfect sort of glue connector piece for the Lakers bench. He can serve so many roles for us, and again, while he's not the same point of attack defender that Jared Vanderbilt is, from an energy, mobility, and hustle standpoint, I think he helps lift the Lakers' collective motor as a team, especially when it comes to rebounding. So yeah, I would put Larry Nance at number 2. And for my number 1 candidate for the best DNP'd player on his team currently out on the market, I'm going to go with Jae'Sean Tate, because I think Jae'Sean Tate is actually probably the best defender in this entire group. And I think he's the best point of attack defender who can sort of emulate the sort of defensive qualities out on the perimeter that Jared Vanderbilt provides. Now, he's obviously not as long or as tall as Jared Vanderbilt, but what Jae'Sean Tate has is a very low center of gravity. He's very strong. He's very physical. He's got that Ron Artest sort of frame to him, and I think he would benefit the Lakers tremendously on the perimeter and provide that edginess from the guard position/wing position that the Lakers really need. And I think getting a player like Jae'Sean Tate really helps solve the Lakers' problems against more longer, physical, and stronger guards on opposing teams that the Lakers have struggled with in the past. Guards like Jaden Ivey, Jalen Suggs. I think Jae'Sean Tate helps fill that gap. And then offensively, Jae'Sean Tate is no slouch either. He's not a complete zero on that end. So for all of those reasons, that's why I put Jae'Sean Tate number 1 on my list of players who are currently getting DNP'd by their current teams who, if traded and if acquired by the Lakers, could be a huge help to this team. All right, that does it for this video. What do you guys think about my list? Do you guys have any other names of players who aren't even being played by their teams who you think the Lakers should go out and acquire? Let me know in the comments down below. And of course, once again, please like the video, comment down below, and most importantly, please subscribe to this channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Once again, this has been Jonathan Hernandez of the Lakers Legacy Podcast, and I will catch you guys next time.